So here's a conversation I wanted to have with you about permanence. Um, you had talked about how it felt ridiculous to you to make something that wasn't going to last 7 generations,
Right.
and I personally think that if you're going to build something out of cob,
Mm-hmm.
that's and natural wood, round pole wood,
Right.
that's the perfect thing to make something impermanent out of. That yes, you are investing energy that isn't necessarily going to be the energy of centuries,
Mm-hmm.
but it's quite clear that the more accessible of cob techniques are definitely not cob for the centuries,
In a wet climate too.
the cob buildings in, say,
Middle
Wales or
East.
something,
Okay.
where it's a super thick
Right.
cob,
With a thatched roof.
with a thatched roof and stuff. And that even needs a lot of
Oh,
maintenance to
big
be
time.
lasting a long time.
Oh yeah. And it's
But
not easy, I bet.
no, it's really not. But here's so
Especially they use lime plaster. It seems like.
yeah. So when you think about the energy involved in making something that's going to last a long time versus something that fulfills a temporary need, um, I like the idea of something built out of cob and wood, and then when you're done with it, it can fade back into
Oh, absolutely.
the earth a
That's what
lot better than,
better
say,
concrete
the
or
concrete or
metal.
vinyl
Right.
siding or OSB or
Oh
something.
God.
Okay,
The
so
toxic stuff that it
right,
goes
right,
down the whole site.
right, exactly,
After a fire in particular,
exactly. But there's a like
turns into a meadow. That's what Yanto said.
yeah, and so Rodney's master's thesis, Rodney Morgan's master's thesis was on building. Was designing a building that could be built with primarily uh, materials from within 30 miles in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
where there's a lot of wood resources.
Oh, big time.
And cob is easy there, and stone is
They
easy
got the
there.
straight ash and oak trees
Right. Yes.
that stain kind of a black color.
Right. Right.
I know that.
But so the idea was to create a building where, when you're done with it, whether it's decades or centuries or whatever, when you're done with it, you can pull out uh, the glass and some wire and some fasteners,
Hmm.
and
Recycle it.
you can push it over and make a hugelkultur that isn't going to perform negatively on your organic certification of your farm,
Right.
to build an organically compostable
House.
house. I love that.
With seeds in it too.
Yeah, that you could put seeds in it
Well, no,
and
it
do
already
that.
has seeds
Yeah,
from the straw.
from the straw. Yeah. So there's a
No,
parallel.
I've actually, I never wanted to necessarily make one like that. But what I'm talking about, there's not going to be the energy in the future to do that. You're not going to have gas. You're not going to have this. You're not going to have that. You're not going to have food. You're going to have something that lasts. King Solomon's mines, per Yanto, he said 9,000 years the cob lasted. We were talking about the longevity, and that's what he quoted, 9,000 years.
Well, so I can buy the 9,000 years bit if you're talking about the same thing, like if your family has your great grandfather's axe and the handle's been replaced twice
Right.
and the head has been replaced 3 times, but it's still your great grandfather's axe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the cob, pretty much, unless you're talking about a thing that was entombed,
Oh,
I don't see it
okay. All
actually
right, this is
being a permanent thing.
this relates to the same subject.
Yeah,
All right, now when Sunray Kelly came to uh, Ojai,
yeah,
he was teaching sage and how to use roundwood construction with cob,
right,
and that's kind of like Sunray's style.
yeah,
And I mean, he does that. However, I have a pet peeve about that, and let me tell you what it is. if you make a timber construction and then you fill it in with cob, you have a beautiful effect. However, what you don't have during an earthquake is something that's going to hold together.
Right. It's no longer monolithic.
Right, it's not monolithic, and that's the part that I think that Sage missed, because he makes everything timber and then fills it in with the cob. There's just nothing that a timber could hold a cob. There's nothing. Not even metal mesh could
Right.
even do that. It
Right.
could, but it's not really appropriate. Because then you have a bunch of metal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could use bamboo, possibly, but you'd have to make sure you're fastened like with the best fastening system ever.
Right.
So anyway, if there's going to be an earthquake or even a fire with exposed wood,
Yep.
you're how are you going to replace that? So I would never use wood except for maybe a door or a window. And by the way, those doors and windows will have metal shutters in a fire zone
Right.
with woven glass, and kind of go into the extra mile. And also it becomes bulletproof in a lot of ways, not with bullets, but if you lock up when you're leaving, you're not going to have someone breaking the windows.
Yep.
It's got, I mean, in the future, who knows what kind of a house you need to have. So anyway, that's just the house I want to make.
Right.
That is going to be earthquake, fireproof to the highest level ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because every cob house, another pet peeve, the big eave, for the south facing in the summer winter scenario, but there's no protection for those eaves. That roof is toast, and the
Yep.
windows are toast. So you have the fire won't hit the cob, but then you got to replace everything again.
Yep.
So I want to try to make something that is intelligent enough to and it's not going to be easy, but because I'm in the metal, I'm into other systems. I want to give it a shot.
Yeah. There are definitely, like, most of the Western United States really would benefit from cob and metal modality rather than cob and wood modality.
Right.
I mean, when
What's left?
what's that?
There might not be a lot of wood left.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like using.
That thing moved. That light moved. It's moving now. That light over there is. I swear to God, it's moving right now. It's been sitting there. This is so bizarre. Wait a minute. Is it?
Looks like it's just the trees moving to me.
You know what it is? We were talking, having such a good time. But if it is a planet, I've never seen something that bright on the horizon that close.
Hmm.
I have to put that tree there and see if it's. Yeah, we're having too good of a time. That's all it is.
Yeah. So so I've actually used metal studs in cob with cob.
I've never heard that yet.
When I turned a rocket heater into the wall of a bedroom,
Right. Okay.
and then as I'm creeping around the side of it to where the door is going to be, I needed a thin wall that couldn't get overheated.
Right.
So I just
interesting.
used metal studs and
Which are pretty flimsy, by the way.
right, but all it was doing was I was making a frame
Frame for something.
that then I screwed plywood as a form to the outside of the metal studs and stuffed that with cob entirely, and then take the plywood away. And now I have a and little, it had screwed a little piece of goat fence inside of there, and to give it fiber reinforcement.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's not really going to rust out.
No.
But we're looking at the cob buildings that are meant to meet seismic code, being and pretty much anything more and more that is made out of concrete and steel being so expensive that they have to last centuries.
Right.
But then the economics rarely let something be static for centuries or even more than a couple of decades. So when you look at the tendency of human beings to rebuild constantly, cob is nice that you can reuse everything,
Right.
but we're talking about permanence of generations against the human tendency of constantly wiggling things, adjusting things.
Right.
And I like the study. I find it very humorous that there was a study about the amount of embodied energy that was saved by going with a coffee mug, a ceramic coffee mug, instead of going with
Stainless one.
a paper cup.
Oh, paper.
Okay, so instead of going with disposable cups of any sort, styrofoam, paper, any of them. Okay, so comparing that, what they figured out was that for the ceramic cup to win, which, because when you're thinking non-disposable, it's a pretty easy assumption to think that the ceramic cup is going to win with embodied energy, except that in order for that ceramic cup to win, the study said that against a paper cup, a one-time use wax paper cup for a McDonald's drink, for example, okay, that you would have to use that ceramic cup every day for 6.5 years, because the embodied energy in a ceramic cup is so much more than the embodied energy in a paper cup, that so now you go and you use your paper cup twice, you get a refill or whatever, and you use your paper cup twice, and oh look, you've just made it last the equivalent of a ceramic mug that lasts you 13 years. And and I had a lot of small children, and I don't think I own a single ceramic plate or mug that lasted more than about 5.
You got that right.
And
I got one about 4. It's inside there. It says coffee on it.
Yep.
By the way, I just figured out something. You know why that star is moving faster?
What is that?
Because Polaris is over here.
Yep.
You know Polaris, right?
Yep. So is everything spinning?
Right. Everything on the inside of that spinning is going to move slower than the ones on the outside.
Yeah.
So that's why that's moving faster.
It's lovely to have such a view like this sitting up on your roof.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, when that moon's not there, it's a whole different animal. You see the Milky Way.
I know. I woke up in the middle of the night to watch.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because it was so incredible.
Wow. So the moon had set.
The moon set, and I even waited until long after it had set, so I wasn't getting that glare.
Wow.
Because I just really wanted to see it.
Nice.
But this is just like, the shooting star up there. This is like the perfect.
Well, August 11th through the 13th is the biggest of the year of shooting stars.
Wow.
I can't wait to check that out.
This is like the perfect venue, though, for.
It has, this angle on this part of the roof is different than that.
Yes.
This is steeper than that because it's uphill.
Uh-huh.
We tried facing the other way.
Yep.
And it just didn't do it for us. It just doesn't do it.
There's something about this panorama here.
Oh yeah, those trees kind of get in the way. Plus you get to see the valley down there, and it's something else.
It sure is. Yeah, sure is. Well, thanks, Ray. I need to go to bed if I'm going to be driving tomorrow.
Yeah, and I have to go to bed because I'm gonna have the time of my life with a wonderful lady, which never happens with me.
And you're going to be going and checking out satellite dishes.
Are you kidding me? Have you ever heard of a club house having a giant satellite dish yet?
That would be fantastic. No, I haven't seen any bigger. I haven't ever seen any bigger used like you're using it than the one you've got sitting down there.
Right. Well, see, here's the thing. If it has seams in it, I could probably fill them with some kind of a
Yeah.
really good thing, and I'd probably have to put a membrane on it.
Uh-huh.
But using that pumice from over there, that
Uh-huh.
mud. And by the way, when that gets wet, it expands a little bit, which could be a good thing.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's going to be really exciting. This gentleman that is in charge of the observatory, as soon as I said to him, we need to turn those radars around and show the children what's in the ground on this
Yeah.
earth.
Yeah.
As soon as I said that, his whole tone changed,
That's awesome.
because they're looking up at the sky, and I think in the back of his head is, why are we looking up there and spending all this money? We're
Yeah.
discovering things, it's helping, but really the issue is the earth. And so it was just fascinating. And the biggest thing is you just ask and you receive.
Yeah.
And a lot of I used to be so shy, afraid, but when you have cob and you have rocket stoves and you have skill sets that can make things happen,
Yep.
you ask. You don't have. There's no hesitation anymore.
Especially if your crazy is infectious.
Yeah, right.
If it's like
Exactly.
exciting, people respond with, "Oh, let's go find what we can find. Let's go do this.
Right.
Let's go do
This is
this."
huge.
Yeah.
I mean, and also the effects of having black light painted on a big dish,
Yeah.
and
And this is
painting
you're
nicely.
creating the inside of this dome
It's kind
that
of
you're
like
looking at.
going to Vegas. You're going to Vegas tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the what is it? The Caesar's Palace. They
Huh.
have black light murals on the ceiling, like coved and different effects. And,
Wow.
but they don't. I don't think. I think they have black light. I'm not sure, but when you put the 3D glasses on, it's like you're laying here and you're seeing infinity.
Wow.
And then you see 3D. You see like the reds in the foreground and the blues in the background, and it's surreal. And to have let's say he said 10 radar dishes. Could you
Oh.
imagine having 10? What I would do is I probably wouldn't use all of them. I'd have somebody use one to do cob, because the whoredom would be a bad thing, but to have like a student that wants to do it.
Or if you use you have a double hull for insulation.
Right, that's a great idea too.
Or I would love to see you use that pumice on top as insulation.
Oh, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, especially if you can get light stuff.
Well, not to mention it's going to be camouflage too.
Yeah.
And I might mix it with other uh, of the insulated.
Pumice cob is also pretty cool.
I've never heard about that.
Yeah, you get a little bit of insulation value in there,
A little bit.
and it's a really sharp,
Uh,
strong cob.
Well, see, I have a friend, Michael Whitman, who you've heard of. I told you about.
Yeah, yeah.
He claims that you put biochar in cob, and I say no way, because you can pull that apart like this. It has no strength. However, in plaster, absolutely yes.
Plaster, yes, yeah.
Because that way it's going to absorb different things.
My friend Crystal put it in her bathroom, and because that was where she was plastering and wanted to try it.
Mm-hmm.
She was working with Albert on something and got a whole bunch of it and wanted to try this. The problem she ran into though is so she's a single mom whose only place she can have any peace and quiet at the time was the bathroom, and her smartphone wouldn't work anymore.
Oh, that's funny,
because the biochar blocked the radiation.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Now cob does it too, doesn't it?
It does, but she didn't have much cob in the house. It was just plaster over whatever.
I think it's you don't get receptions in cob.
You get a little bit. My cob cottage has a little bit of reception.
Okay, all right, so that solves that problem.
Yeah.
So biochar has a carbon.
Biochar, the biochar in her plaster was blocking her signal,
which is actually healthy.
It's healthy, but it was like it was really frustrating.
She couldn't check it out.
She couldn't check it out.
That's funny.
It's very funny.
I have a lady that lives in a cage at night to keep radio waves and other things from
Faraday
hitting her.
cage, yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
And but she takes it to the extreme. It gives her a headache if she doesn't do it.
Yeah, yeah. We got a client that we went to look at, helping them with their. Um, they got some land down by the uh, giant radio antenna
Mm-hmm.
pointing into outer space in West Virginia. That where there's no cell phone towers and there's no Wi-Fi outside of buildings and so forth. They have all these restrictions to try to keep it a little bit quieter for what they're doing, and but it also seems to help her illness.
Wow.
Which, at that point when your life is that miserable with that stuff, I don't really care whether it's psychosomatic or
Right.
or what. If it can help, do it. But yeah, they were really trying to get some houses with like low chemicals and whatnot.
Yeah, it's anytime there's a fire, like I've been through a few, every house, the owners can't even go back because of all the toxins.
Oh, so much toxicity. Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
And they got to dig 4 feet deep and take everything out and remove it. How stupid is that? Compared to a cob house.
Compared to, yeah.
Sheesh.
Yep.
So here's something that, I mean, this may not make a lot of sense. Well, I don't know if you've ever thought of this, but these straw bales that you get have got to have a lot of chemicals in them too. Now I don't know how long they stay, but maybe even Roundup for all we know.
Yeah.
But if you're getting a monocrop that's been sprayed, and it stays in the straw, don't you think that's an issue with straw bale houses? And just the operation of building it, not necessarily after you're done.
In the operation of building it, I would agree a bit. But it's not like, I mean, yes, it's pervasive, but it's not.
Has anyone ever tested that?
I don't know if anybody's tested what the uptake is through your nostrils and whatever.
Right.
But I do know that the in Canada, where they take when you do a building apprenticeship with Chris Magwood,
Mm-hmm.
it's an industrial building apprenticeship
Mm-hmm.
that uses natural building. So you're wearing the steel toe boots, you're wearing the hard hat, you're wearing the respirator. I mean, no, you're treating this as a building apprenticeship where you learn how to behave as a professional builder.
Right.
And it made enough sense that
different than Sunray killing the naked days.
Yeah, it's so much different than
Which
some of the most fun stuff.
Ways, if you're used to being that way, it's naked. It's safer because you're like in an environment that you know what's going to happen.
Well, I know some blacksmiths who won't wear gloves for that reason.
Wow.
And I suspect that they have fewer accidents, but I suspect that when they do have one, it's a doozy.
Right.
And
I wear a welding glove in my left hand, but in my right hand with the gun hand I don't. Never got burned.
Yep. Yeah. Oh.
Well, we gotta hit the sack.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been quite the dive in 48 hours, probably 36.
So much fun.